I'm here at the BFI South Bank, formerly known as the National Film Theatre. The BFI is the UK's lead organisation for film, television and moving image. One of its roles is to actively seek out and support the next generation of filmmakers. But how many of those roles have been for women? In fact, how many of those roles have been for black women?
Finding proper statistics on the percentage of black or BAME females has been very difficult to come by. However, the British Film Institution reported that in 2012, only 5.3% of the film production workforce were from BAME backgrounds. Based on this, an assumption could be made that the percentage of black female directors is even lower.
So why do we need black women represented in these roles?
On my first encounter in the industry, I felt like I was the odd one out, simply because there was no one that looked like me. There was no one I could relate to or perhaps confide in. This demotivated me because I naturally assumed that this was a reflection of what the industry wanted to see. In 2015, the Arts and Humanities Research Council funded project Calling the Shots, Women and Contemporary Film Culture in the UK found that only 20% of people working as directors, writers, producers, exec producers, cinematographers and editors on films in production in the UK during 2015 were women. The study also showed that of those women who were working in production roles, only 7% were of Black, Asian and minority ethnic identity. This made BAME women less than 1.5% of all key personnel on UK films in production that year. We talked to writer and director Charlene Wango. Charlene has gained a lot of momentum by working with Rapman on his debut feature, Blue Story, with BBC Films and Paramount Pictures. Charlene was also a script editor on Michael Dapper's successful YouTube series, Swill. She spoke to us about her experiences on being in the industry.
In regards to being a female director, that there isn't many of us, and I don't know whether that's because I haven't been exposed to the other black female directors that are out there, but for me, I've realised that anytime I'm at an industry event or somewhere where there's a room of creatives, I'm most likely always the only female writer and director in the room. And something that I've realised as well is that there isn't really a network when it comes to female directors, black female directors, because anytime I am invited to these industry events, I'm usually invited by a male director, a black male director, and I just feel like there isn't a sense of community, let's say, when it comes to being a female director. That's one thing I have realised. I do feel like most of the time the room is filled with black male directors most of the time, and it does get a bit daunting that I'm kind of the only one, or I feel like I'm the only one doing what I'm doing, and I feel like the network of people in regards to directors are always men and not female. I feel like as being a black female director, there aren't many older black female directors that I can look up to, so it kind of feels like I'm having to get all of my advice and all of my whether it be script notes or just kind of educating myself, is always coming from the predominant male directors that I know or that I've come across. I haven't really come across any female directors, black female directors. I feel like it's a shame because I feel like there are probably so many other black female directors out there, but they're just never called to be in the room. And I've come to realise that even being a female black director, that it is about who you know, and that the room isn't really created for us. And I feel like that's probably one thing that may be another problem.
It is clear to say that compared to our US counterparts, the UK does not seem to be showing as much progression in the amount of black women behind the screen. With shining stars like Ava DuVernay, who wrote and directed When They See Us. Cinematographers such as Keira Kelly, who worked alongside Ava DuVernay on her Oscar-nominated documentary, 13th. and producers like Issa Rae with the Golden Globe nominated show Insecure. In comparison, Michaela Cole, writer and director of the Channel 4 hit TV series Chewing Gum, seems to be one of the few black women on British television. With her relatable comedy series about a young Christian woman exploring her sexuality. It is clear to say that the show has been a great success both in the UK and internationally, having emerged as a breath of fresh air when it first graced our screens in 2015 to 2017. Since then, there has been an explosion of hugely relatable comedy drama TV series about young women that have slowly emerged, with shows such as Phoebe Waller-Bridge's BBC series Fleabag. While it might seem like a no-brainer to create more stories like these about black women, this just doesn't seem to be happening.
We know when black women are absolutely not represented well in the industry, any industry, to be honest with you. Fashion, music, art, you name it, any. There's a lot of things to address. Toxic masculinity in the industry and what women have to go through to kind of like just do their jobs. There's a lot of layers to all of that, but yeah, I don't think they're represented nowhere near what they should be.
Yeah.
Obviously, colorism and how we explore colorism or, hierarchy. There's a lot of layers to that. I think there's a lot of work to be done before we can even imagine or fathom black women being represented on the street. If we do our part, or for real change to actually significantly happen, not even in our generation, probably in the next 2-3 generations, things gotta start happening now. We gotta start changing the direction of what type of content we put out there that represents women. We gotta start changing our behavior towards, black women as a whole, and just address the elephant in the room, really. And there's gonna have to be a lot of sorries being said and reparations, but we need to give women that extra boost in class as well, because they need to be represented and felt in that place as well. We don't have to always see just overachievers in our community just doing well. Why can't it just be the general norm? And then when that takes place, everything else that's into motion. So, but for the time being, though, all we can do is try our best to involve women of color in our conversations, in our thoughts, and exactly just be conscious about how we project them. Not representing accurately reality, there's going to be a disconnect with what message or what energy we put out, or how we treat each other in our community. And it's already a narrative set with how black people are treated in our community, and we don't have a chance to even change that. So we need a chance to change that. We need our opportunity to write our own history and create our own reality, because we've given so much of our culture, our music, our fashion. Like, we are literally the life. We are only sharing just a little spectrum of what it means to be black. When we're in an opportunity where we can have full creative freedom, through financial freedom, you're gonna see a whole different world.
Throughout my research, I have found that overall, not only are black women drastically underutilized as a resource for the UK film and TV industry, there is also a low representation as a whole for the black, Asian and minority ethnic female representation behind the camera. So again, why is more representation needed? More representation is needed off screen so that different stories are shown. If there is no growth in the number of BAME women in the industry, then the industry itself will suffer with the narrowing of its vision and impoverishment of its creativity. The industry has a responsibility to seek out more black female producers, more black female directors, more black female cinematographers, and more black female editors. the industry has a responsibility to seek out more black women. It is the role of the film and TV industry to let their voices and stories be seen and heard by the mainstream.